Yes, Leviticus 23 and verse 30. When he's saying that same soul will I destroy from among his people, that's judgment right there. So when people say you can't judge me according to the holy days, and they want to quote the scripture in Colossians, they don't understand what judgment is. This is judgment. If someone corrects an action, that's not judgment. That's correction or rebuke. Okay, so that's what people have to understand. Continue.
Verse 31. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings.
Continue.
Verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at eve, from eve until eve, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
So it's saying to afflict your souls on the 9th day, which is the day prior to the Sabbath, or prior to the Day of Atonement. Because as you see in the according to keeping the atonement, in verse 27, it says I'll read the whole verse, and it says, in the 10th day of the 7th month there shall be a feast of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. That offering made by fire is the sacrifice that they were sacrificing. And after they made that sacrifice of offering by fire, they ate it. So the affliction of our souls is on the 9th day previous to. Today's kind of going to be a shorter lesson than usual, but let's go in a little bit concerning fasting. Let's go to Isaiah 58, chapter 1. 58, verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 58, verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Verse 2. Yet they seek me daily, and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteous, and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinance of justice. They take delight in approaching to the Most High. Verse 3. Wherefore have we fast, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our souls, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors.
So here it is. Israel's asking, wherefore, when have you not saw us when we fast? And see that even this scripture here even gives significance for the reason of fasting. When it says, wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our souls, and thou takest no knowledge? See, when we fast, the reason behind fasting, and the scripture says that we should fast and pray. The reason that we do this is to call the attention of the Most High. When Christ was questioned about his disciples not fasting, and Christ said, well, the bridegroom is here. They don't, they need to fast once I'm gone. They had Christ, the source of information, with them. There was no need for the fast. But once Christ left, the fast was necessary to gain attention and to get, so you can get the Most High's attention if there's anything that you need questions answered, or if you need, something dealt with in your life. Even in the Apocrypha, when we read Esdras, every time before he came to the Most High and asked him a question, the Most High would give him a certain amount of days to go fast for. And then he said, then come back to me. Because we understand that when we fast, we're weakening that physical man. That way, how in Romans it speaks about the battle between the flesh and the spirit in Romans 7. And oftentimes we're more apt and more ready to feed our physical man rather than our spiritual man with this bread of life. And so oftentimes we're more willing to do what our flesh has led us to do because it's stronger. But when we fast, we subdue that flesh and that spirit and that physical man, And when we fast as well as pray, then we're strengthening that spiritual man. We're praying, and then we're studying the scripture, and we're making contact and gaining closer to the Most High, to where that spirit is then able to get a closer connection and a clearer frequency to the Most High, and is able to overcome the flesh because we've weakened it in not eating. So here they are asking, when have you not heard us? And when have you, in verse 3, and when have you not taken knowledge of our fast? And it says, behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure. When we fast, we're not supposed to do things that are for ourselves. And this even goes towards, a man and woman's relationship. The intimacy of a marriage. We should not even take part in those things. And it says, and exact all your labors. And it's saying, and you were being about your labors when you should have been fasting and praying and being about spiritual things. You were focused on physical things. Continue with verse 4.
Verse 4. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high.
See, that is the purpose of a fast, to make your voice be heard on high. And he's saying when they were fasting, but they were doing it wickedly. He's like, the way you're fasting, there's no way your voice will be heard on high. So in reading this, we see what not to do when fasting. Continue.
Verse 5. It is such a fast that I have chosen.
Is it such a fast that I have chosen? He's asking a question. Continue.
A day for a man to afflict his soul. Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Most High?
So here it is. They're doing these things outwardly, the sackcloth and bowing their head and spreading ashes on themselves. But at the same time, they feeling like, okay, well, I've done the traditions and the rituals that I'm supposed to do concerning the fast. But they weren't paying attention to the things that dealt with the spiritual. They were having their own pleasures, exacting labor. And, in verse 4 goes even deeper into some of the things that they were doing concerning their fast. And he's like, wilt thou call this a fast? Is this considered a fast just because you are in sackcloth and you have ashes over your head and so forth? Continue.
Verse 6. Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loosen the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke?
And see, now we're finding even more reasons to fast. Not only to be heard on high, but also to have bands of wickedness broken, and to undo heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and to break yokes. So when you're dealing in life with situations or habits, maybe even addictions, or a way of life that you can't, a way that that's within you that you can't break, a fast is necessary. Because it breaks burdens, it breaks yokes. Okay? Continue with verse 7.
Verse 7. Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh?
Continue.
Then shall they light break forth as the morning, and thy health shall spring forth speedily.
So he's saying, as we've gone into studies previously speaking of how the Most High has set Israel up as a light to the Gentiles. And so this scripture says, and how how Christ even said, when they asked him what is the greatest commandments, he gave two specifically: to love the Most High, and to love thy neighbor as thyself. And the things that we do in loving our neighbor as ourself, and the things that we do as far as spreading the light to the Gentiles, concern the things that were just spoken of. Feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, those who are poor, looking out for them. And it says, then shall thy light break forth as the morning. So as a light to the Gentiles, these things is what shows that light. And it says, and health shall spring forth speedily. So even in a time of sickness and in despair, when you love others as you love yourself, and when you take the time to fast correctly, this is what brings forth health and life. Continue.
I'm in the middle of verse 8. It says, in thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Most High shall be thy reward.
Continue.
Verse 9. Then shalt thou call, and the Most High shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, here I am.
Okay, so now once you've done these things, then will the Most High hear your call. Then will the Most High answer when you've called. Continue.
If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger and speaking vanity.
When it's saying putting forth of the finger, it means, pointing at someone and, speaking vain things. Continue.
Verse 10. And if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thou light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday.
Go ahead.
And the Most High shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not.
So in doing these things, you will prosper even, So it's in our fast, he has laid out what not to do. He's laid out what to do. And he's laid out how to be heard, and even how to break bonds and yokes, how to be heard from the Most High. Mm-hmm. Okay, continue reading.
Verse 12. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste place. Thou shalt rise up the foundation of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasures on my holy days, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Most High honorably, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words.
Okay, so this goes back even to what was spoken of concerning the fast. Mm-hmm. On his Sabbath days, these are, don't turn thy foot on the Sabbath day from the Most High. Mm-hmm. Do what is according to the Most High and honoring his day on the Sabbath. All right, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and read 14 too, and then we'll leave here.
Okay. Verse 14. Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Most High, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high place of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mount of the Most High have spoken it.
Okay.
On the mouth.
Yeah, so here we are. We see what is necessary to break yokes, what is necessary to be heard from the Most High, especially within a fast. And I wanted to go here concerning the fact that we're about to, the day before the Sabbath is the scriptures require and asked us to fast. Mm-hmm. Even furthermore, let's go to Matthew 6, verse 16. Question? Okay.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites, or a sad countenance, for they disfigure their face, that they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward.
So here he's saying, be not like the hypocrites when you fast, because they have a sad countenance. They walking around with their eyes half closed and kind of dragging along, hoping somebody say, well, hey, brother, what's wrong with you? Oh, I'm fasting. So they can let people know they do this for a show. And it says they have their reward. Their reward is the fact that they have let people know that they fast. And, to feel lifted up by, doing this thing as if they're holy among people. Continue reading.
Verse 17. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thy head and wash thy face.
So he's saying, when you fast, don't go around looking all, distraught and disheveled. Come out of the house, brush your hair, do everything you do normally. And don't try to draw attention to yourself because you're fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thy head and wash thy face, that thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret. And thy Father which seeth thee in secret shall reward thee openly. Verse 19.
That's good. And that's the same as our prayers. Christ says the same thing. When you pray, go into your secret closet. Mm-hmm. Don't be like the Pharisees out on the corner making sure everybody hears your prayers. Mm-hmm. And that's important because when we fast, we should be in prayer as well. And these things should be done secretively, not as so that people can look at you in a pious way and that you can gain status or holy points here on earth, because those points don't matter ultimately. Yeah. All right. As I said, today will kind of be a short lesson. That's what I have for today.